Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul. I am the infrastructure nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for the March 2018 Attorney Computer Systems Worldox Virtual User Group meeting. Without further ado, we're going to press a series of magic buttons that will take us to a special place where we can look at Worldox and talk about it.
Oh my God.
Can you tell I've done 2 of these already today?
Oh my goodness.
Take it away, Mary Jo.
Okay, we're in this special place. Woohoo! All right, so if you have emails that you, you can set, but I guess we start at the beginning. You can have emails, whenever you send an email, Worldox can automatically pop, and it will then prompt you to go ahead and save those emails into Worldox. Well, sometimes you don't want it to prompt you to save those emails into Worldox. You're emailing your mom, your wife, your sister, your daughter, whatever, and you don't want those emails to be saved into Worldox, and you don't want to keep asking you every single time you send one to that person to do that. So you can, at the time that you send an email, when that box pops up and asks you, you can say ignore. If you say ignore right there, it will always ignore that particular email. So if we put one out here, okay, Paul, good job. Let's just go ahead and try that. And so when that sends, right here, so we can add that address to my ignore list. So right there, if I do that, that address, anytime I would send an email to that address in the future, it will not pop this box. So I can do that on the fly and say, okay, don't do that. But what if I haven't emailed them in a while, or I just want to say, hey, just ignore the, I don't want these people on here, or I don't want any of them I send in our office to be prompting me. But everything I send outside the office, I do want it to prompt. Well, there's a place that we can do rules, and we can set those rules up over underneath our Worldox setting for email. So we do have a little tab over here in Worldox, and a lot of people don't even know that this is here. We're so used to being out here in our files and searching and that, but there is a little email tab. And when we get over to the email tab, it's really kind of loading up our Outlook box over here for us. We see all of the same folders that we see in Outlook and all of the emails that are currently out in those boxes. But up here we then have some preferences and some settings and things that we have control over. So I'm going to go out to our edit, and I am going to go to our address rules here. And this is where we can set up some rules to tell it, don't prompt me for these emails anymore. So I'm going to add a new rule, and here's where I was talking about all internal addresses versus all external addresses, or you can pick addresses from your address book, or you can come in and you can say a specific address. So I'm going to say that we don't want anything to prompt for all internal addresses. So anything I send in our office, I don't want it to prompt me. And then you can tell it what you want it to do. You can say yes to ask me or no, don't ask me. So if I were saying no, don't ask me if this email comes across, I would say no for all of these, and then only for me, because I don't want to set this across the board. Although you may internally, as a firm policy, want to say that all external emails need to be sent. So I could say yes, ask me on all external, and I could say for everyone if I'm a manager and have those rights. So you can set these either for yourself or for everyone, but know when you send it for everyone, that's going to be global across the board that we're setting those rules. So if I said all internal, only for me, no, don't ask me, and said okay, anytime I would send an internal email, it would not prompt me at all. So that's how you can come in and control that a little bit. I think for us, we have all of ours internal and external prompting for everything. So if you wanted to do all external and say yes, you could do that. And again, you can do specific ones to always prompt you or never to prompt you. So that's where you can set that up and control those rules. Now, if for some reason, like Paul sent an email to himself and we said add to ignore list, and you didn't mean to do that, you could come in here and you could look at these rules and you could find that rule on the list and you could delete that rule so that way you didn't really mean to block Paul Perdue for all emails. You just wanted to ignore it for that one. So
now what if you don't want to be prompted for any emails that you send?
So then you'd have to turn off, I mean, it would just be all the internal and external. And
you'd have to create
them all,
2 rules.
yes, 2 different rules. So on the address rules, again, the same thing that we were just in, you would add one and you would say don't prompt me for internal or external and don't ask for either one. That would block all of them there.
But you'd have to create 2 rules because it won't let you check both those boxes.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
You'd have to do one for the internal and one for the external.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, let's get you back over there, and you're good.
So mine kind of has to do with emails as well. I'm going to talk about what to do when you send something to somebody else to add their comments, to create a separate version perhaps, and you get it back and you want to reassociate it. So let's say I took some Word document and I sent it to somebody, and either using this email here, which I'm totally missing. I don't have a, of course, I don't have a button. So I'm going to email. I saw that, yeah. So we're going to send this to a full copy, and we're going to send it to Paul Perdue, and we're going to ask him for his comments. Okay. So when we do that, we'll send it to Paul Perdue, and we'll please comment. Now we want this back, and we're going to take it, and when we get it back, we're going to put it in as version 2 of this document. So I send this off, and I'm going to get my little prompt, and I'm going to tell it to ignore just this once. And so now I've sent that email. Now let's look at my sent items real quick and see what this looks like, or we'll just look at it in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this out to my desktop because I want to show you what this looks like, and I want to explain a couple things. So I'm going to save as, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put it on my desktop. And I'm actually not going to put it in Worldox. I'm going to put it out on my desktop here, and I'm just going to save it as what it was. And then I'm going to go to my desktop and hope I can find it because my desktop is kind of messy. There it is. Now, first thing I want you to understand is what this name looks like. And I'm going to move this over here so that you can see this name in all its glory. It's Rep 001 Case Assessment Report Budget. That's actually what the name of the document was in Worldox. And it's got the .doc extension, but in between those two things, it's got these 2 parenthetical notes. And I don't know if you've ever paid attention to this, but this one thing here is the doc ID. Don't ask me what the X9F4D9 is, but then this other thing here is your site ID. And that actually is something that helps us distinguish this document coming back to us from our Worldox from a document that might come back to us, but it was from somebody else's Worldox, okay? So why is that important? Well, that's important because if my user that I've sent this file to says, okay, I'm going to go in and edit this, and I'm just going to save it under the same name, and I'm going to send it back to them, then when I get this back, and I drop it into the into Worldox, into the drop zone, and I don't see my drop zone here, or I just send to Worldox. Let's see if I can get this drop zone to come up. There it is. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it may not be displaying on top. So if I drag this into my drop zone right there and let go, Worldox says, oh, cool. And it should know where this document goes. I'm not sure why it doesn't, but this happens a lot. It happens especially when somebody saves this on their computer and takes that part out and sends it back to me. So now I've got a situation where it shouldn't be happening this way. It should actually recognize that doc ID and want to pull it back in. But it may be that since it hasn't changed at all, it's thinking it's got to be saved as a new document. That may be what it is. Because Worldox looks at this when I drop it in the drop zone and says, okay, I got a document like that. Has this one changed? No, so he must want to save this as a new file. But if I had sent this out to somebody and they had made changes, it's got a new modified date, it's a different length, it's got a different number of bytes as being its length. Worldox, when I drop this into the drop zone, says, oh, I know where that goes. I know where that goes because I see this doc ID and I see this site ID, and so I know what that means, and so I'm going to just suggest that it be the next version of that file. But what happens frequently to people is that for some reason Worldox has lost this association like it has now, probably because I haven't made changes, or the user, when they save it on the other end, takes this stuff out, gives a whole new name, and the whole new name does not include this. So what do? Well, people will frequently see this save as a version down here, but not realize that's their saving grace. I think people think that this is going to save it as a version of something else, not of what I want to save it as a version of. So what this is really doing is it's saying, okay, save as a version. Save as a version of what? That's what it's doing. So it's taking you to a Worldox file list where you can get down to the file that you want to save this as a version of. No, it takes me someplace where I need to find it. So it takes me to a file list, and I need to get there. Whether it's through direct access to go to that client, whether it's through search or find to go to that client, or I've just gone to favorite files because I happen to know this is a document that's in my favorite files. And so when I then identify what I want it to be a version of, it says, okay, save as a new version of this file. I get it. Do you want it to have the same description? Yes. Okay. Save this file as a version of that document. You can change it, and it filled out my profile. So what I think confuses people when they do this, because they come so close to getting this far and then they call us, is that they don't realize that Worldox is saying, hey, I can't quite figure out where to put this. Can you help me? Because maybe you just want to save it as a brand new file, and if that's the case, you just fill out this profile. But this button here allows you to go identify the file that you want to save it as a version of. There it is. I simply double click it, and now it knows, oh, okay, they want to save it as a version of that. And this will now save as version 2 of that particular document, not as a brand new copy of its own. So to summarize, you email a file to somebody, they send it back to you, you want to make it version 2 or 3 or 4, whatever the next version is of what it was. You simply open up the email where they sent it to you, you drag it into the drop zone. Either the drop zone says, oh, okay, this is version 2 of that document, or it does this. And if it does this, this button simply says, yeah, I'll go find the file that it belongs to. You find it through whatever means, direct access, search or find, just having it in your favorites. You identify the file, and you have now reassociated that new version as the next version of an existing document. And we get calls on this all the time, so I know it's important that people know how to do this, and that is the secret. It's that Save as Version button. And that's it. Next month, we're going to talk about the work zone, which is what I just used there. Sometimes we call it the drop zone. And Mary Jo's going to take that topic, and I am going to talk about configuring the compare button in Worldox to use whichever type of comparison software you have, as long as it's one of the supported versions. So that's that. Let me get out of here real quick because I want to take you out to Attorney Computer Systems. Notice the emphasis on that last S in the word systems. I want to take you to attorneycomputersystems.com. Make sure you got this last S in there, because I want to show you that if you simply click on this videos link up here, you'll be taken to a screen that has all 6 of our video titles on it. 4 of our titles, we have virtually 100,000, virtually 1,000 videos on our website. No, not 100,000, 1,000 videos, almost 1,000 videos on our website, all dealing with either Tabs or Practice Master or Worldox. 4, we put out 9 of these a month, and these are the titles. 4 of the titles are live events. We have our 3 virtual user group meetings. You, of course, are right now in the Worldox virtual user group meeting. We also have one for Practice Master and one for Tabs 3. We also have another live event. It's my Coffee Pot webinar series, where I will invite somebody from another company that has a product that adds value to Practice Master or Tabs 3 or Worldox, and invite them to come on the webinar and demonstrate that product and how it interacts with Tabs 3 or Practice Master or Worldox. And then we also have our 2 pre-recorded titles. We have Mary Jo's eBytes video series. She records 3 of these a month, one on tabs, one on Practice Master, one on Worldox. These are little short 2 to 3 minute videos where we take something really cool that we know that we can explain very concisely in a 2 to 3 minute video, and we explain it. We also have our longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where either I or Mary Jo will take a broader topic, one that takes longer to explain, one that takes a little longer to dig deeply into, and we will spend 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes getting to the very root of the issue of that particular topic. So if you'll click on one of the more info buttons, you will find a description of that particular title. If it's a live event, you'll see registration information and topic information for the next live occurrence of that event. So here's the Worldox Virtual User Group meeting for April 30th. As you scroll down, you will find recorded versions of every other event that we've ever done. So here's the one that we're in right now. And so it's currently in post-production because it's not on the site yet. But as you scroll down even further, you'll find videos. And as I said, there are close to 1,000 on virtually everything you'd want to know about Worldox, Tabs 3, or Practice Master. And we even have this nifty little search capability where you can type a word, either hit from the direct results there, or look at the longer format results, find exactly what you're looking for, click the link, and go watch the video. So these videos are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Please take advantage of them. They're there for you to use. Everybody have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the month, and we will see you in April. Thanks much, everybody. Bye-bye.